Hey everybody, welcome to the Utopia podcast. I am CDJ, and alongside me is, I'll let you say it for all the good people out there.
Tommy.
You're not going to give your screen name?
It's Gschwend T. GschwendT. Just look for a lot of consonants.
See, now everyone's going to think that I can't say Tommy, that I had to make you say it. But thank you for clarifying what your screen name is for us. We're back. It's been a couple weeks. The NCAA football community wish list tournament is over. We'll recap the Final Four and the championship in one moment. First, we will let you know that NCAA Basketball 10 news is coming. We expect it to begin sometime in October. Keep checking the site for the latest news on the game. We have what we believe is the top 25 for the game, with Kansas at the top. No big surprise there. College basketball magazines are on the shelf. I picked up my Lindy's magazine and Athlon, but college basketball preview today. So keep checking ncaaStrategies.com for all the latest on NCAA Basketball 10 news as soon as it comes out. Tommy, the tournament is over. You did a great job running this. An idea taken from moderator Joe Bob. All 68 items we've gone through. There was one item that emerged. Let's talk about the Final Four. Before we do that, though, overall, what were your thoughts on the tournament and how it went?
It went pretty good. A lot of people kind of expressed their feelings that their specific wants and needs weren't the ones that were winning, but, you know, obviously not everybody's going to be a winner. We got some great feedback, and it basically kind of took off on its own. I mean, you know, we couldn't have predicted how it would have actually ended. I don't know that I could have picked, probably may have not even been able to pick half of the ones that actually ended in the final 8. It just kind of grew all on its own.
Let's talk about the Final Four. On one side of the matchup, we had what a lot of people consider the top 2 items. Of course, it's a very subjective list, obviously. Formation subs against custom playbooks. Both last-gen features, not yet in the next-gen game. I imagine they're coming soon. We all hope they're coming soon. In this one, custom playbooks kind of pulled off a small upset, but not really. Both are very, very highly requested items. Custom playbooks won at 62-51. Tommy, talk about your thoughts on this. This one had a lot of people up in arms. A lot of people wanted formation subs, but obviously not as many as custom playbooks.
Yeah, it seems like formation subs is kind of the champion of the people, at least the vocal minority, that is. Everybody's always talking about formation subs has to be in the game. Well, you know, it come to find out that more people actually wanted custom playbooks when it came head-to-head with formation subs. In fact, I was one of those people. I'm a custom playbooks guy. I can go out there and find a playbook that's close to what I want, but it's always missing, you know, 1 or 2 small touches. It's either missing the I formation that I want, or it's missing the shotgun 5 wide that I want. You know, you can kind of get close with some of these teams, but at the same time, it's you want to build it to your own specific needs.
I think one thing this tournament hopefully accomplished, and hopefully now these people listening to the show will go back and think about this, is it kind of gives you an insider look of maybe what the development team goes through. Is that each year you can't just go and say, we got to add this, got to add this. It comes down to time and man hours, and I would imagine sometimes they get this exact same dilemma where it comes down to maybe 2 features that take a lot of time. Which one of the 2 will make it into the game? And I hope when people were going through all of the matchups and trying to pick which one they would like to see, they kind of felt like a developer in a way. That, you know, it's down to 2 items. How do you pick which one is more important or should be in the upcoming version? The other side of the Final Four, this was one of the closest matchups. I think it was the closest matchup in the entire tournament. Correct option blocking versus better offensive playbooks. Correct option blocking wins it 55-54. Very, very close, obviously. Tommy, talk about this matchup.
Yeah, like you said, this is basically as close as of a matchup as you could actually get. And in fact, I think the winning vote came just before the end of the deadline. So it was, you know, they were tied neck and neck at different points throughout the voting, and it just finally correct option blocking ended up winning it. I could have gone either way on this one. I actually voted for better offensive playbooks just because they haven't really fleshed out all of the various plays that, you know, not just necessarily a playbook of all the combination of plays, but just actually the plays themselves. You know, sometimes a lot of plays don't have complementary pass routes, you know, or they don't have they'll have a half-back weak dive, but then they don't have a counter to go off of that fake dive. It's kind of just basically providing a complementary of plays that balance off of each other.
The championship matchup then, based on the Final Four, was custom playbooks versus correct option blocking. This one was a runaway. Custom playbooks wins the tournament over correct option blocking, 72-36. One of those things where I know we say that one item, quote-unquote, won, but I think all the items that made the Final Four and really Elite Eight I think emerged as kind of the bigger community wants for the NCAA football franchise. But let's talk about custom playbooks. Were you surprised by how big a margin it won by?
Not really, especially after custom playbooks beat formation subs. It kind of told you that more people actually did back custom playbooks than you may have actually thought from the beginning. Custom playbooks was my number one from the get-go. Correct option blocking, I think a lot of people see that and see that there is a difficulty in getting that programmed into the game. It's not just a matter of, hey, leave the defensive end unblocked. You also have to teach the defensive end how to respond to the option, whether he attacks the quarterback or the pitch man, different things like that, that it doesn't make it just a simple, one-step fix that actually changes the game completely. Correct option blocking will take quite a bit of work to get it actually into the game.
Some people had voiced their concerns about some of the items, saying, I can't believe we have to even put this in a tournament. I can't believe we have to request it. When it comes down to correct option blocking, I may be wrong here, but I don't think any football game has ever had that correct. Am I wrong in that, or am I missing a title somewhere?
As far as I'm aware, I've never come across any other game that has it in there. It is something that we have to actually request just because it is something that hasn't been in the game. Yes, it's part of every Saturday college football, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's in the game because, again, it all comes down to priorities. What's most important to the developers, what's most important to us, and what's got the most likelihood of actually making it into the game.
Now with the tournament over, make sure to still stop by and visit the feedback form at ncaaStrategies.com. We can still use your constructive feedback on what you like and don't like in the game. And more importantly, now with these top 8 items kind of pulled out from the community, we want to know how you want them implemented in the game. How do you want formation subs? Do you want like Madden has it, or like NCAA had it in the past, or do you want some other method or some kind of hybrid? We'll also be having threads created down the line to kind of get this information directly because, yes, people want their custom playbooks. Yes, people want formation subs. But how do you want that implemented in the game exactly? And I think that's a whole different question, really a whole different animal that we'll have to tear into, as we build towards NCAA 11. Of course, still enjoying and playing NCAA Football 10. We're going to wrap up the show talking a little bit about Season Showdown. There was a lot of talk during the preseason stage of Season Showdown and also during just the pre-release of the game. People said Season Showdown is going to be nothing more than a popularity contest. Well, I think this week eliminated that. 4 big upsets that you and I noticed. Talking about this before the show. North Texas beats Alabama. Tennessee beats Florida. Washington beats USC just like in real life. And Louisiana Lafayette upsets LSU. Tommy, I know you've been following Season Showdown a little bit. I've been trying to vote every day and do the trivia every week. What does this kind of say now about this whole feature and that we've seen some big upsets?
Well, it tells us basically that the big teams can go down, especially to the small teams. I mean, North Texas is, they're a Sun Belt team. They do actually have quite a few followers on the Season Showdown. They're out of the Dallas area, so they do have a large alumnus. But it just shows us that the big guys aren't invincible. I mean, Tennessee taking down Florida, everybody said that Florida's going to run away with this thing. Well, obviously they didn't. The same thing goes for USC. I mean, granted, Washington is a Pac-10 team, but nobody would have expected that Washington would have the fan support behind to actually knock off the Trojans. And then, of course, in-state matchup of Louisiana Lafayette versus LSU, that's a big undertaking because a lot of UL Lafayette fans are actually LSU fans as well. So it's actually really intriguing to see how these top teams were knocked off. I mean, I don't have any details on this, but I wonder if maybe some of the SEC foes actually came in there and voted against LSU, helping to knock off the Cajuns. We don't have any details here. Another thing to comment on is that actually 5 of the top 10 teams ended up with a week 3 loss. Basically goes to show us that any team can lose any week. It's going to be interesting as it goes throughout the rest of the season how these actually shape up and how the finals actually work themselves out.
And just for people, because they don't know or forgot, this all is leading up to a 32-team tournament at the end of the year. So even though Alabama, Florida, USC, LSU lost this week, it's going to take a couple more losses to knock them out of the top 32. And I'm not sure if the top 32 is ranked on record or overall point total. So they're probably still going to be in it. But you're seeing they're losing some games, and that's something that before the game came out, people were pretty certain that Florida and Ohio State were going to be destined to meet in the finals. Well, now that may not be the case. With that, we're going to wrap up this edition of the Utopia podcast. Make sure to keep checking us out at ncaaStrategies.com NCAA Basketball 10 news hopefully coming soon. Make sure to check us out also for NCAA football discussion, tips, videos. We try to cover any news that comes out. Everyone, for Tommy, this is Chris. Thanks for listening to this edition of the Utopia podcast.